See, it doesn't move. Hi, this is Tom from Beautiful Guitars. Today I've got an unusual video to make up because of a nasty experience with Gibson SG that I bought. It's not this one, just to give an example. You will have seen pictures before. I bought a Gibson 1961 Les Paul SG custom. So those who don't know, Gibson made Les Pauls from around 1952 until 1960. But they were not doing well. Fender were selling a lot of guitars, and Gibson Les Paul were not selling. By 1960, they only sold around somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 and 1,700 Les Pauls. So they decided they were going to stop making Les Pauls and have a replacement. That's when Ted McCarthy came with an SG, but at that time it was not called an SG. In 1961, when it was introduced in NAMM, it was called a Les Paul, so it was sort of a new version of the Les Paul. So that Les Paul 1961, 62, 63, and then 64, that's when it became an SG, standing for solid guitar. And the reason were few. One is that Les Paul didn't like the shape or the guitar, and the other rumor is that Les Paul was going through a divorce with Mary Ford. He didn't want his royalties to be part of the settlement with his ex-wife. So whichever is the truth, we don't know, probably both. So what happened that I bought the 1961 Gibson Les Paul SG, which is now called as a reissue, and it costs as a custom shop, it costs $5,000 US dollars. So it's quite an expensive guitar from the custom shop. But however, it had a lot of problems. As you see from the few pictures and video I'll put before, and also I'll put again after now, there were four main problems with the guitar. The first one was that it had a double cruise-on tuners, but the last one was not was a single ring cruise-on tuner, which is for a different guitar. How it came to be, we don't know, because these guitars in the custom shop are made by very experienced luthiers, or at least they're supposed to be. The second thing was that one tuning peg was just moving, you'll see on the video. So it just moves loosely without engaging to tune the string. So it was sort of broken, which supposed to have been checked, or now it needs to be replaced. So those were two things on the tuning pegs. The next thing was the pickup covers. They are not P90s like here, they are humbuckers. So the pickup covers were very high, almost touching the strings. The bridge one, which is supposed to be lowered, which supposed to be. And the last one was the ABR bridge here. The screw was bent like this, which might not come clearly on the picture. So it's bent, that's number one. Number two, the ring which is around it to help with the intonation, instead of lying parallel to the guitar, it it was skewed like this. You don't know how came to be, or maybe it's because when it is bent like that was the problem. So I sent the guitar back to the shop where I bought the guitar and showed them the faults that are in the guitar, and therefore then we compiled those problems that are quite visible from the guitar, that are glaring omissions. The most disturbing part, as you'll see, is that the quality control, everything is ticked to be correct, including those 5 glaring problems with this $5K US dollar custom shop Gibson Les Paul SG 1961 reissue guitar. So the shop where I bought the guitar, they did speak to the Gibson representative. I bought the guitar in Johannesburg. The representative is in Cape Town. Then said, no, okay, you must send an email with photographs of the guitar. The response from the guitar, from a Gibson representative, was very positive, in that he acknowledged that the experience that I had was very traumatic in buying this custom shop guitar for $5K US dollars, and with those glaring faults on the guitar, which are quality control issues. Firstly, custom shop luthiers are very experienced people, but in case somebody makes a mistake, maybe it was a Monday morning after a heavy partying over the weekend, or maybe it was a Friday afternoon just before knocking off. We don't know what happened, but the quality control is supposed to have picked it up so that those mistakes were either corrected, or sometimes you'll see some of the Gibson guitars, the Gibson USA or custom shop, if they've got quality control issues, if they cannot completely address them, some of those guitars are sold in the demo shop at a discounted prices, but something here went completely wrong. So the guitar was flown to Cape Town, where new tuning packs were put up, so they were all now double ring Gluson tuners, and were all now working, even the one that was not working. The pickup cover on the bridge was lowered to be at the correct position, but however they couldn't get the washer, which was bent, to be parallel to the body of the guitar. So maybe it was just too faulty to be corrected, and also the bent screw. So the bent screw and the washer that is skewed at an acute angle instead of being parallel to the body. If the guitar is supposed to be parallel to the body of the guitar, not to be at an acute angle, with a screw supposed to be straight and is bent this way. So they couldn't correct that. They brought the guitar back to Johannesburg, so I could see that the other mistakes the other faults have been corrected, but on the ABR bridge, they still that the screw is bent and the washer is in an acute angle instead of being parallel. I cannot accept in a custom shop guitar that is $5K US dollars. But because myself, I really needed to have an SG that is named Les Paul, that that will be quite interesting, because those people who are not aware will say, oh, that can't be a Les Paul. But if they know the history, they will know that Les Pauls were discontinued in 1960. 1961, they introduced the SG as the Les Paul. And then it was only after 1963 that the SG dropped the name of Les Paul to be now an SG as we know it now. And then Les Pauls only came back around 1969 when they became popular, when other guitarists were now playing the few that have been released, and people were now looking for them, and that's how then Les Pauls were started to be reproduced again around 1969 and onwards. As you know, Les Paul is very popular now, so that history is very interesting for those who don't know. So my representative who sold the guitar to me from Joburg, he spoke with a Gibson representative in Cape Town. Then they sent the guitar back to Cape Town, but then they replaced it with Gibson Custom Shop 1961 60th anniversary, so which is an upgrade because the one I had, it was a custom shop, $5K US, but this one now is an upgrade. It's 6.7 US dollars, 6.7K US dollar. So it's an upgrade. So you can just see how it is, and it is much better. So like I say, it's a really upgrade after the traumatic experience with my custom shop. So the first thing that it comes on, the hard shell case completely different. This is the custom shop that you'll see with R7s, R9s, RO and so on, which are sort of upgraded cases. So the one I had was a black one, which is a cheaper one. So this is an upgrade. The most expensive case, shell case. As you can see, there's a Gibson and the star there. It symbolizes a custom shop hard shell case and the guitar that is inside. So it's you can see certificate of authenticity for this instrument enclosed in the pocket of the case. So let's see what we have. So let's do it like we always do it. So you'll see from the pictures that will be shown there that it's a very, very beautiful 1961 60th anniversary, which was in 2021 last year, from 1961 to 2021, then 60 years old, 60th anniversary. So you can see it's a red, so it's very similar, but the wood grain is really incredible, and the hard shell case is reddish to complement the guitar itself, and it's a very plush hard shell case, which makes me feel much better. As you can see, it's got a sideways vibrola, and to be historically correct with the ones at the time. So like say it's got two tone knobs and two volume knobs, the output jack, then a traditional three-way switch. It's nice switchcraft, good place. Then a longer pickguard as per tradition, and the pickup are now in a good position. The ones, the other guitar, they're almost touching the bridge one was almost touching the strings, and you can see what I was talking about now. This is parallel to the body of the guitar, which is supposed to be the case. It's quite nice. So we've got those custom Baka Alnico 3 pickups there, quite nice, and also the Vibrola. They're just for a bit of it's not because the 1961 rock was not at its peak with dive bombing back and forward. It was just for a bit of tremolo that way, sideways ones. It's certainly not the best tremolo system by Gibson, probably one of the worst. You will see some of the SGs that are not historically correct. They've got a white one, which is an improvement to this system over here. Then a traditional block fretboard inlays, quite beautiful, rosewood neck. Okay, binding there, but you can see this is not correct, perfectly done. You can see the bleeding of the paint on the mahogany neck is bled into the binding on the fretboard, but you see it very common with Gibson, but it's not supposed to be. I was talking to one guitarist. He said he thought it was a normal way Gibson does it, because you see it in so many guitars, but that should not be. But it's quite true that you see this bleeding of the paintwork on the mahogany to the binding is very, very common, which is a quality control issue which Gibson should sort it out. And you can see there on the headstock, you see they said Les Paul, and then we've got a crown logo there and the Gibson. Then you can see the Cluson tuners on this 1961 Les Paul SG. They are Cluson double ringed. So what happened was that this one, the one in the area in the first guitar that Gibson sold me, it was loose. You could turn it and just turning loosely without engaging the string. And obviously the single ring Cluson tuner, which is for a different guitar, not this 1961 Les Paul SG. So one person was laughing at me that maybe it was a custom that they've got a double ring Cluson, 5 of them, and one is a single, which is quite funny, but it was a bit. Then at the back, the wood grain on the mahogany is really incredible. It's beautiful, both on the neck and also on the head. It's really incredible. It elevates my mood. And also the wood grain on the body of the guitar. It's much better, twice better than the first guitar, even from the front. It's incredible. Obviously, this is not historically correct at a solid hit, because SG was selling much better than the original Les Pauls. For that reason, they were very happy with them. And then the 60th anniversary got a solid hit. But if you want to be historically correct, you can put this one, which didn't have any. And you'll see even the R7 that I unboxed earlier, they have the same thing, that you'll have two Pigas, the one historically correct and the new one that maybe people might want, and which is a good touch. It's only that you can see it's already quite scratched and so on, and this underneath, because the guitar was made in 2021, so just over a year old, so maybe being taken out in a box or demonstration and people checking it, so it can happen, but it's not too bad. We call it relicking, and with this more expensive. Let's see the candy. Case candy. So just the Gibson contact social media. Just for moisture. Yes, the keys to the case. Lock your expensive cargo. Pre-check list. Yeah, so the date here you can see that was in 2021, 17th of May. That's how the Americans do it. But most of the people think, most cases looks like this quality control with Gibson, even Gibson custom shop, that maybe doesn't mean anything. It doesn't seem like when somebody is sticking here has checked the guitar, but I've never been there. But one get that impression with the faults that one sees with the Gibson guitars. And then this just a guarantee and explanation of the quality of work in the guitar. Also the strings that are historically correct that have been put in the guitar, which is quite fine if you want to be historically correct. And more important, especially when you have to sell the guitar, that it's a Gibson custom shop certificate of authenticity. Is the 60th anniversary of the 1961 Les Paul SG standard. And the number there comes with a quite, like say, solid hit, things like that. Okay, so an SG, I didn't. It sort of slowly grew on me, seeing some on videos. Especially Angus Young of AC/DC with his riffs and playing some nice songs. And one of the songs I like hearing playing, She Shook Me All Night Long. It's quite nice. And also now that it says a Les Paul there. And people will say, what is the difference between a SG and a Les Paul, even if they've got the same pickups? So maybe we'll do a shootout, because we've got this, and the R7 that we've unboxed earlier has got the same pickups. And the main difference is that because this has got a thin body, it resonates much more than a Les Paul. So I won't take out my R7, but just believe me, it resonates much louder than the my R7 Les Paul Custom. And this is many reviews you'll find that is certainly the case. Then when you plugged it to the amplifier, this SG is a bit more punchy, more punchier, so its sound is a bit more open and more brighter than Les Paul. Therefore, people sort of prefer this as a rhythm player, because then it is sort of comes out in the mix a bit better than a Les Paul, and in that way people prefer it that way. However, because you're missing the thick body of the Les Paul, and Les Paul has got only single cut, not a double cut. Les Paul has got a better sustain than SG. So those are the two main differences in terms of sound, that SG has got less sustain than a Les Paul, and then the SG has got a brighter, punchier sound than a Les Paul, so it will cut through the mix better than a Les Paul. So it's if you've got two guitars for recording, one will prefer recording with an SG than a Les Paul. But obviously, even when in a band, this will come out better in a mix than a Les Paul. But a Les Paul obviously has got a better sustained, and its sound, that mid-range is quite distinct as compared to this one, because its sound range of the SG is slightly different. It's got more than mid-range, and that's why it's a bit brighter and punchier, or a better projection than a Les Paul. So it's a different guitar in that respect. The other thing also, because your neck sort of coming more proximal, it sort of feels like it's got a longer neck than a Les Paul. So it's very difficult for you to play SG this way, because now it's far away, whereas a Les Paul you might still be able to play it comfortably on the left leg, but an SG you feel that way. And obviously this has got a thinner neck. It's a compound neck. You can see it's even thinner, because then you are able to come to play your upper ends quite easily, better than in the Les Paul, and that's why it's thinner here. And the neck is quite fast neck, so that if you're a fast player or a rock, it will stay very good. Derek Trucks is one of the most popular blues rock. We've got his own SG signature with a Gibson at the current moment. Yes. So I feel much better with the replacement from Gibson. The traumatic experience I had, at least they've upgraded the previous guitar that was $5K US with this $6.7K US. So what is your opinion with Gibson? Do you have any experience with Gibson poor quality control? Did they address the issue quite well? With me, I was a bit not so optimistic with the stories I've had in the YouTube, but it looks Gibson really came to sort out. The main thing, comforting thing, was that the Gibson representative really indicated in his letter that he really apologizes for the traumatic experience that I had with the guitar, which is a custom shop 1961 Les Paul SG. But however, in the end, they managed to correct the issue. Don't forget to like and comment on this video, and don't forget we are on our 6th guitar giveaway, which is a Karaya acoustic electric guitar. For you to qualify for the guitar giveaway, you have to subscribe to Beautiful Guitars channel, like and comment on all our videos that we've uploaded so far, and subsequent ones that will be uploading weekly before we announce and select the winner at the end of the first week of December 2002.